Have you ever said, let's try something new as a family, and then immediately regretted it? Imagine this. You wake up one morning and decide that for the next 24 hours, you and your family will do nothing that feels safe, familiar, or comfortable. No routines, no usual habits, no easy mode. Sounds exciting, right? That's exactly what happened to us when we decided to step completely out of our comfort zones for an entire day. At first, it sounded like a fun little family challenge, something adventurous, something that might even bring us closer together. But within a few hours, things started going very wrong. And strangely enough, that's when the psychology behind comfort zones really started to show itself. Because stepping outside your comfort zone isn't just about doing scary things. It reveals how your brain reacts to uncertainty, how families handle stress, and how growth often hides behind chaos. In this story, we discovered 5 surprising psychological truths about comfort zones, why we avoid them, why we need them, and why sometimes the most unforgettable family moments happen when everything goes completely off the rails. So if you've ever tried something new and thought, why did I do this? You're going to relate to this story. Let's start with the first moment everything began to fall apart. The brain loves safety. Ever wondered why trying something new can feel weirdly stressful, even when it's supposed to be fun? Here's what happened. Our challenge started with one simple rule. Everyone in the family had to do things they normally avoid. For one person, it meant cooking breakfast instead of ordering food. For another, it meant talking to strangers at a cafe. For someone else, it meant turning off their phone for the entire morning. Simple enough, right? Well, about 10 minutes into the day, the complaints started. Why can't we just do it the normal way? This is already a bad idea. And that reaction actually makes perfect psychological sense. Your brain is wired for safety and predictability. Psychologists call this the comfort zone loop. When you repeat familiar behaviors, your brain saves energy and reduces stress. But the moment you step outside that loop, your brain sends a warning signal. Not because the new thing is dangerous, but because it's unfamiliar. That's why even small changes can feel surprisingly uncomfortable. And in our case, breakfast turned into the first mini disaster. Burnt toast, spilled juice, someone almost set off the smoke alarm. But strangely, once everyone started laughing about it, the tension disappeared. And that's the first lesson about comfort zones. Sometimes the discomfort isn't the problem. Our reaction to it is. Uncertainty creates funny chaos. Picture this. You decide that for one part of the challenge, every family member has to choose a random activity that nobody else has done before. No planning, no preparation, just pure uncertainty. One person suggested street food we'd never tried. Another suggested a spontaneous public karaoke moment. Someone else wanted to take a random bus route just to see where it goes. At that moment, the family looked at each other like, wait, are we actually doing this? And here's something fascinating about human psychology. When people face uncertainty together, their reactions usually fall into 2 categories. Some people freeze. Others start laughing. Our family did both. One person was nervous, another was excited. Someone kept saying, this is going to be a disaster. And honestly, they were partially right. The karaoke moment was awkward, the bus ride took us somewhere completely unfamiliar, and the street food experiment created a lot of suspicious facial expressions. But here's the twist. Those chaotic moments became the funniest stories of the entire day. Psychologists call this shared novelty. When people experience something unusual together, the brain records it as a stronger memory. That's why random, imperfect moments often become the ones families remember the most, not the perfectly planned ones, the messy ones. Embarrassment is often imaginary. Let me ask you something. Have you ever avoided doing something simply because you thought people might judge you? During our challenge, one task involved doing something slightly embarrassing in public. Nothing extreme, just something outside our normal behavior. One family member had to ask strangers random fun questions. Another had to try dancing for 10 seconds in a public place. And the reaction was immediate. "No way! People will stare. This is too awkward." But when we actually did it, something surprising happened. Most people didn't care at all. A few people laughed, some joined in. One person even started dancing with us. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect. It's the tendency to believe everyone is watching and judging us, when in reality, most people are too busy thinking about themselves. Once that realization hits, something powerful happens. Fear shrinks, confidence grows. And suddenly, doing weird little challenges with your family doesn't feel embarrassing anymore. It feels freeing. Although, yes, the dancing video will probably haunt us forever. Growth often feels like failure. Now here's the part of the challenge where things really went wrong. By the afternoon, everyone was tired. Plans were falling apart. One activity didn't work at all. Another turned into a long argument about directions. Someone even said the words "no family challenge organizer wants to hear." This was a terrible idea. And honestly, for a moment, it did feel like a failure. But here's something psychologists have known for a long time. Growth experiences rarely feel comfortable in the moment. In fact, they often feel messy, confusing, and frustrating. Your brain is adapting, your habits are breaking, your expectations are changing, and that process can feel like chaos. But later, when you look back, it becomes a story. By evening, something funny happened. Everyone started remembering the day differently. Instead of focusing on the stressful moments, people talked about the weird bus ride, the burnt breakfast, the awkward karaoke. The failures became the highlights, which leads to one of the biggest lessons about comfort zones. Growth doesn't always look like success while it's happening. The bonding effect of shared challenges. Here's the final twist in the story. By the end of the 24 hours, something had changed in the family dynamic. Not dramatically, not magically, but noticeably. People were laughing more, teasing each other about the day's disasters, retelling moments that had happened only hours earlier. And there's a psychological reason for this. Shared challenges create stronger emotional bonds. When people go through unusual experiences together, especially unpredictable ones, the brain releases chemicals associated with connection and trust. It's the same reason team adventures, travel experiences, and even small family challenges often bring people closer together. Not because everything went perfectly, but because everyone experienced the same unpredictable journey. And honestly, that's exactly what happened to us. The day that started as a simple comfort zone challenge turned into something far more memorable. A day full of awkward moments, unexpected laughter, and stories that will probably be told for years. So what did we actually learn from stepping out of our comfort zones for 24 hours? First, your brain naturally prefers safety and routine. That's normal. Second, uncertainty often creates the funniest and most memorable moments. Third, embarrassment is usually much smaller than we imagine. Fourth, growth can feel messy and uncomfortable while it's happening. And finally, shared challenges can bring people closer in ways normal routines never do. Our challenge didn't go perfectly. In fact, parts of it went hilariously wrong. But that's exactly why it worked. Because sometimes the best memories come from the moments when things don't go according to plan. Now I'm curious about you. What's the most uncomfortable or crazy challenge you've ever tried with friends or family? Did it go smoothly or completely off the rails like ours? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who might be brave enough to try their own 24-hour comfort zone challenge. Just be warned, things might not go the way you expect.